How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Good.
So why can I hear you and it says you're on mute?
I have two laptops going,
Aha!
so I
Uh-huh.
can kind of monitor,
Okay, I got you.
see if we've gone live. So I just tried to put us on live. So
Yes.
Okay. So then should I go on and get started?
let me just make sure that we're live here. Yep. Looks like we're live. So I just need to start the recording. So whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, so
Hi, Donna.
Louis, do I do this or do you?
You're chair. So
Okay.
you can open up the meeting.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome, glad you're here. Sue, could you call roll?
Certainly. Angela Banks. Christina Bennett.
Present.
Joseph Clark. Darnetta Clinkscale.
Present.
Lewis Cross.
Present.
Sheila Goodwin. Donna Jones.
Present.
You got somebody coming in here. Yvette Levy. All right, Bobby Richardson.
Present.
And Albert Sanders.
Present.
Just joined the party. And Justin Stein.
Justin said he's not going to be able to participate today.
Okay. All right. Very good. So we have 2, 3, 4. We have 6.
Very good.
So we do have a quorum.
Excellent. All right. So the purpose of this meeting being the business meeting is to review the budget for 21-22. And I guess we're going to talk also about where we stand right now for 2020, for 19 and 20 budget. Is that correct, Sue?
Yeah.
Or it's just 19, it's just 20. Okay.
It's 20. Yeah.
So are you going to be able to share your screen?
I can. I certainly
Okay.
can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to just address that there are no travel expenses.
Yes.
That's normally done at this meeting as well too, but I haven't received any travel expenses. So
No, we don't have any.
no
to my
action that we need.
knowledge.
Yeah, there's no action that we need to take.
Can I get travel expenses going from my bedroom to the office?
I heard that.
Certainly.
We
yeah.
should be able to get a budget for tops that we wear. Okay.
True that. All right, so let me see. Put up the budget.
Albert, can you see me well?
Yes, I can see you. You're not in you out of witness
In the dark.
protection. You out of witness protection.
Right, I'm out. He always complained that he could hardly see me.
It wasn't a complaint. It was a observation.
Okay, all right.
All right, so I don't know exactly how you all have done this in the past, how you want me to proceed.
Well, I'd like you to basically present it, and individuals who have questions or concern can bring those directly to you and we'll all discuss it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
And hopefully everyone received the materials. They were mailed and then we did email them. So hopefully
Right.
you guys have this packet as well. All right. So
I would just let them know that we've met this committee at least twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So I did meet with Lewis, Darnetta, Sheila, and I met just to kind of do some preliminary discussions in preparation for the meeting today. The first item that I put together, just kind of a memo with just some of the highlights, but we'll walk through some of those items as well. This sheet here is an overview of just kind of the overall budget and the line items. We'll probably talk more about the salaries and the benefits piece of it at the end, but this right here, and let me see if I can just get it a little bit bigger. So we can see kind of a historical perspective where we are from 17, 18, 19. 20 is kind of still a work in progress. So where we are with 20 and just a few notes there. And so that's what this sheet is looking at. Kind of the big variable in all this is really what we pay for the investment management fees, and that's a bit out of our control. When the market does things, we can't always respond to that. So, this is kind of the variable. So we see we're a little bit under what was budgeted, but again, it will depend on how we end up in the year and what that's going to look like. Then we also have item for our bank provider, our trustee and custodian of our bank services. So we're pretty much on track. We're a little bit under there. Investment consulting, that's who we work with NEPC on. So again, that is based upon our fund and our valuation there. So pretty much on target for 2020 here. Actuary, there's been no change in the actuary services. So that's going to come in right as budgeted. And then we also have legal services. Again, we're going to be a little bit under on the legal services. I think some things were built in, based upon possible legal items that needed to be done. Auditing, again, we have an agreement, so we know what that's gonna cost us. So we're pretty much right there. Trustee elections, that's gonna vary depending on how many ballots we send out. We have to mail out, how many responses we get. But again, little bit under, about $2,200 less. Technology, again, pretty close to that number, but a little bit under. Few things happened this year, with being prepared for working virtually, remotely. But again, still pretty much coming in on track. The disability medical evaluations, that's for folks that are applying for disability retirement. We've seen in the last quarter here an uptick in those requests. We're under right now, but we are seeing more requests. So those people that apply for disability retirement, we have an outside doctor that we use, a medical provider, and they evaluate those requests. So that's what that fee is for. Property management, that's for our building and everything really associated with that, the utilities, everything that we have to get, to take care of the building and the property and all that's involved. So again, we're pretty close. A little bit under there, about 10% under is what we're projecting. Again, we still have a month to go, or a little bit less than a month to go, but we're pretty much right on track. Postage and delivery, again, that's looking at our election mailings, our newsletter mailings, 1099s. Again, that's all just dependent on how many folks that we have. So we're a little bit under there. Office supplies and printing, again, about 5,000 less than we had anticipated. Equipment maintenance and purchases, that's going to be our copy machines, any new computers that we have. All of that is factored into that. And so that's, again, we always have to build a little bit extra in there, but looks like we're going to come in just a little bit under. Business insurance, we little bit talk about that a little bit later, but that's going to include our liability for our property, workers' comp. We have the fiduciary, the bond insurance, all of that is included in this number. So we knew what that was going to be. So that's kind of where we are. We already talked about trustee travel, nothing there. And retiree insurance and consulting, that's going to include the subsidy that we have, that the system pays to the retirees. So again, that's just dependent on how many retirees that we have that have the insurance. Again, it's medical, dental, vision that we contribute to. And then we also work with Gallagher, the consultant. And so their fees are included in here.
Sue,
Uh-huh.
what is the supplement that the retirement system pays to the retirees?
So I believe we pay, it's about $80 a month for medical. I think the vision, we fully cover that. And dental, we pay a pretty good portion. I don't know the dollar amount offhand for the dental. I can look for that here in just a minute. But so we cover a pretty good portion of the dental insurance as well.
So for a year, the supplemental for the retirees is this amount that's indicated here?
That's correct. For all three of those, plus we spend about $35,000 for Patrick Harridan and his team at Gallagher that help with the RFPs and all the negotiations. So that's all included in here as well.
Okay, so the 35 encompasses all of that, plus
Yeah.
the supplemental that's paid for the retirees.
That's right.
35 grand, okay.
Yeah, what we pay for his fee.
All right.
And miscellaneous expenses, I think this year was used for the search for upon Andrew's departure. So I think that's where that, I'm sorry, that's in special projects. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So that's where that is. Miscellaneous is going to cover various items that we have. Again, if there's any kind of repairs to the building or anything like that, that's going to be included in here. So it looks like we had some of those for this year. And then the last three items are revenue items. We receive, we do securities lending as one of our assets. So we get revenue from that. And it looks like we're having, looks like we're a little bit under what we expected, but on the commissions, we're a little bit over. And then we do have a tenant in the building that is the VA. And so we get revenue from them as well. So that's what that last item is.
So this is Christina. I have a question. So you have revenue there, but in prior years it's showing negative. So why is it like negative and then 161 positive?
Yeah, so
Is it presentation wise?
that's from 2019. I don't think that should be, I just added to this chart. So actually, you know what? I just didn't reflect it as a negative. It's a negative from the budget amount. So it's really a positive. And so I apologize. That should also be a negative as well. So, we're spending less because we had this revenue come in. Does that make sense?
It does. I just was looking for consistency wise.
Yeah.
You've got negative 93, then you got a positive 9877, and then a positive 161. And so, while in previous years it's we've always made money on the lease. I just didn't know if Andrew just presentation wise showed it as a negative because everything else is expenses that are positive numbers, and then his revenue was classified as income, which was a negative, which is, we totally understand the presentation, but I wanted to make sure everybody was clear that it's not that we lost 150 something thousand last year on the lease.
Yeah, that was
And 19 is just should be showing as a negative also, right?
correct. Yeah, I apologize for that. That should have negative
Mhm.
to it like the rest of them. So I'll get that updated. So that is consistent. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Anything else on this chart?
Is Matt on the call?
He
Who?
is not. He is not.
So historically, we have discussion on the budget, and then we go into closed session to discuss personnel matters, which is your top line item. If there needs to be a discussion on the top line item of salaries and benefits.
Yeah, I do have another attachment with some detail that I would expect that we would want to go into closed session to discuss.
Okay.
The language for that, that we use to go into closed session, is that available,
Yes.
Sue?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have it. I have it.
All right. So
Well, go on, Sue. You're gonna go to the detail now?
Yeah, I'll go to the detail and then the last, even though it's first on this sheet,
Yeah, it'll be
it'll
the
be
last.
the last thing we actually discuss,
Right.
if
Mhm.
that's
Okay.
okay with everybody.
Yes.
All right. So then this is where we get into the 2021 and just some recommendations and some comments on the budget. Again, this top line here, you know, the box with the asset, you know, it's hard to predict that, but based on where we are now, as of 9/30, you know, this is where we're looking at the fees for next year. So, you know, what you'll see on here is this dark item is what is recommended, requested for 2021, and underneath it is what we had in 2020. So we didn't have to kind of keep referring back. We can kind of look and see where we are. So again, this is just sort of based on where we are as of 9/30. A little bit less, but again, will kind of be out of our control. And then the same with our trust and custodial services, again, based upon, you know, our actual assets. So we're projecting a little bit different. We have some different types of investments that we have this year. So that's why this one is a little different, a little up because of the type of accounts that we have, but pretty close to what we had last year. And then the same with NEPC. Again, just looking at where we are, could be a little bit of an increase from prior years. Actuarial services, we're not anticipating that changing at all. We expect that to stay the same. Legal services, again, you know, we'll kind of keep that at the same. That is just sort of a, you know, fee for service as we go along.
Sue, quick question for you, because this falls under Donetta as well, is we, in 2016 or 17, maybe even a little bit sooner, we used to have a schedule that discussed that we would put all our vendors up on a rolling calendar for RFPs. And I don't know if that schedule was shared with you. The last one we did was supposed to be the investment consultant, and that never occurred in 2018. 17 or 18, I can't remember when it was, you know, it was so long ago. But because of that, we delayed everything else. So when looking at this budget, you know, we may have to address those schedules and revamp it and restart it because it was dropped off. So that next year when we do this process, we will be able to have a better picture of what RFPs we'll be able to address to hopefully reduce some of these vendor costs through competitive pricing, if not anything, or just keep it at the same.
I did have a question about that. Um,
We did discuss that.
yeah, we did about RFPs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Right, because some of them are contracts were 3-year contracts. Some of them held our prices for so long, and I don't know if we are still in that window to assume that some of our contracts will not rise into 2021.
Yeah, I would say that the actuary has indicated that they haven't raised their fees in 10 years. So that's probably not, sustainable for them for much longer. So yeah, that's one of the things that I did discuss in our pre-meeting, that, once we get our committees together for next year, I would like to start on a schedule and get going for next year for RFPs. Obviously not all of them at once.
Thank you, I
but
appreciate it.
Yeah,
no, there'll be a schedule
yeah,
Yeah.
for the year.
yeah.
I have a question when you all get.
Yeah.
And the question is, what expenses do we incur for putting out the RFP? Is it very expensive on our end to do that? Christina and Sue and Darnetta.
To do it, I don't know what the exact cost is, but we have to, prepare it, print it, time spent receiving them, and, coordinating that for the trustees. I think that's the major expense we have. And then as we review it, and then have the individuals present those that we choose
Okay.
to present their their business plan, if you will, or
Okay.
proposal. I think
Okay.
that's the expense. Is that not, Sue?
I would 100% agree with you, Darnetta. Now, there is some software out there we could look at purchasing that would help us, but I don't even know if that's necessary. And I wouldn't say it would be. It's more a time expense, than an actual outlay of cash.
And printing, because what you've done is sent all of that stuff to us. We get a whole box full of.
Yeah. Right. The other thing, at the end of it, might be legal has to review contracts, and, there's expense with that. But hopefully, we would reap the benefits and would not see that it would cost us really money. We would recoup that after we go through the RFP process. So I think, for this group here, I think the audit firm next year is the last year that we have pricing from them. So that's, we'll just have to kind of talk about the order in which we want to move forward. And we have a lot of vendors, really more than these too, but obviously these are pretty important.
And Christine, I think it was 17 that we got all those big boxes of, RFPs. Yeah.
Sorry, I dropped off for a second, so I apologize. But
Okay, and then this next is the trustee elections. Again, there's cost involved. We do have 2 trustees up for re-election, or election, I should say, trustee positions for election next year, an active and a retiree. So there's cost. Our audit firm, Anders, they charge $3,200 for actives and a little bit more for retirees, because it appears that retirees vote more than the active trustees do, or the active population does. So there's a bit more cost. So, we're looking at virtually the same, projecting the same cost. We just looked at, what our population is now. So we've got 4,900 active and 4,400 retirees. So again, that could increase a little bit more, but that's what that cost is. Technology, there is a lot of detail for technology. So I kind of want to come back to that one if that's okay. Let me get through these others and then we'll go hit the spreadsheet at the end for technology. So I mentioned already on the medical evaluations that we're seeing an uptick. So I did just increase that a bit because, with the uncertain situation that's out there right now, we're seeing an increase in retirements. So just thought that maybe we would want to be prepared in case we got an onslaught of evaluations that we had to send to the outside firm. Property management, with this, what we do is we pay an outside firm. This would be another vendor that we'd have to look at. We do have an outside property management company, and their fees are going to be $12.12 a month next year. So it's a bit of an increase from this year. We do have cleaning service, some basic maintenance. So that's where that $62,000 is. We do have an outside firm that does our security monitoring. And then here's all of our utilities. So, going to increase about $4,000 anticipated from this year. And a big part of that is the property management fees that we pay.
Sue, is there an RFP coming up for property management, or is that something that's still under contract?
Well, we could do an RFP there. We've got a whole list of vendors, and this would be one of the vendors that we would have to look at. When do we want to do that?
Okay.
But yes, they are definitely one of the vendors that we could.
Okay.
And then postage and delivery, there's a lot of cost for a lot of things we have to mail, annual report summaries, the 1099, that's the retiree tax forms. We send out annual benefit statements, open enrollment, and then we do have a newsletter mailing. So based upon our current population is where these costs come from. One thing I do want to look at next year, talk with the board about is potentially, the newsletter. It's quite an expense if we look in between, this cost of postage and the cost of printing. Is perhaps we can just target those individuals for mailing that don't have internet access, do a different kind of communication, maybe a postcard or just something where we let everybody know it's out. And if people still want to get the mail copy, maybe we could do that. But that's something that I want to investigate a little bit more and see if maybe we can, reduce some of those costs. Also the open enrollment packets. I think there's maybe some things we can do to consolidate that packet, maybe have that mailing cost us, and that postage or that printing rather cost us a little bit less as well, because that's a pretty, that costs about $11,000 just to print. And then, so it's really almost $20,000 for open enrollment materials. So I just want to take a look at that and see, if we can reduce that in any way. But, but based on where we are now, that's what these costs would be.
So do we outsource all that mailing or do we do it in-house?
We have a outside company that does the mailing for us. We have an outside print and an outside mail vendor as well.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So this is part of the equipment that we talked about earlier. So we have a few pieces of equipment. One of the things that we do need to purchase for 2021 is a new server. Our server is approaching its 6th year of service. Typically, we do have a server. You can see a server is going to last for 5 to 7 years. We have had a few kind of hiccups with that server in the last 6 months or so. So we've had the service people come out and take a look at it, and, they've done a few things to it, but the thought is it's just reaching, the end of its life. So that's one of the first things that, we want to address in early 2021. And this is, the cost essentially about $20,000 for the server. So that's, why this is, a little bit bigger than where we are for 2020. We
So,
also,
Sue, question for you on the server. And I don't know if this was, but didn't we do a sale leaseback on the server, or was that something else that we did? And it was quite a few years ago. So this may be the second version of this. But do we buy it out, or do we do a sale leaseback?
yeah, no, I think that was purchased. The copy machines, I think, were things that were leased a couple of years ago. But yeah, no, the server is ours. Yeah.
So I could have sworn we did a capital lease at one point, but I can't remember what it was for, because that was going to save us money to, I don't remember, but I know that we did a capital lease for something because it was cheaper than buying out with cash flow. But if it's only 20,000, I don't see that as a big amount.
But Sue, you could verify that for her and
Yeah.
we could just move on.
Yeah, I know in talking to our technology manager that the copy machines were that was a big savings for the copy machines. But I'll check and see if there's anything else that falls into that lease arrangement. Yeah.
My concern when we discussed it earlier, I didn't want to wait until January to get the server, because if you're having difficulty with it and it crashes, then we would be in a bad situation. So the sooner that we can get that server upgraded, the better, and including the software, so that we don't have to be concerned about being hacked and all those things. Those are items that I think we need to address immediately, because once it happens, we're looking like, well, we should have done that sooner, and I don't want to do a sooner than late. I mean, wait too late to do it, if possible.
Yeah.
So Sue, did you start researching that as far as cost and how quickly we could get that done?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think we've talked, technology manager and the outside firm that we work with, that, if there were to be an event, we could be back up. We have a cloud backup. We have things in place. So
Okay.
I think we'll be okay for this year, because it's going to take probably about a week to get the server. So I think, we're into December already. I think we should be okay, but we will certainly want to work on that right away in January.
Great.
Well,
So,
you've already started working by
Yes.
researching. So we're hoping to implement in January sometime. Is
that's
that
right.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we've got something picked out, and so yeah. And then back to the lease question, I think it might be the postage machine is
Okay.
maybe which
Mhm.
Christina, you might be thinking about. That was something that was leased as opposed to purchase. So that's another item that popped up. That
Will you just check on that server piece to be
I will.
sure?
I
Okay.
will. Yeah. And so then I just popped to the technology budget, since we were talking about that. And so, this is the actual hardware itself is going to cost $12,000. With the computers we have, 7 staff. And so we want to get on a schedule where we're replacing those, every few years. So we're going to do a couple at a time each year. So we'll do a couple more next year, be in good shape. Security cameras, we
So how
have,
many do we have? Remind me, please.
7 staff.
So 7 computers that would be replaced 2 a year. So will they last for 4 years? If we just do 2 a year, it'll be, way out, 3-4 years before they're all replaced.
Yeah.
And I would assume you just start that rotation over, but the oldest ones, are they gonna be able to last that period of time?
Yeah, they should be. I think, it's typically every 3 to 5 years you should
Okay.
replace computers. So
Okay,
I
Okay.
think we'd be in pretty good shape
okay.
if we do two a year.
Mhm.
Should be good. We do, we've been doing some upgrades with security cameras. We had a project this year that was approved for the 2020 budget. And so there are still a couple of cameras. There's one very old camera outside that needs to be replaced. So this would be, and then there's a couple of spots where we don't really have cameras right now that we're looking to add to. So this would be three cameras. And then, we do have a backup battery, server battery. So that's what this $500 for. And then again, just, having some dollars in there in case we needed to purchase something on an emergency basis. And then this is software that we need. A lot of it is for the server, and a lot of it is just the different things that you can see that we use, our tax forms, all of that is in here, our Microsoft Office products, and again, just any miscellaneous server software items. And then in this section here, under services, we're looking at doing some enhancements to our security. And, that would be some training. I don't know if you all are familiar with, there are packages that you can get where you send like test, kind of trick emails to see if people will click on it. This would be a package and then have some follow-up training.
Right.
So that's all, included in here. We also have not done disaster recovery exercise in quite some time. So that's recommended for us as well. So that's included in this package here
Good.
as
Good.
well. And then we have a big chunk down here, this Jupiter Consulting. That is for our conversion. I'm not sure if the board is aware that we just have recently created a new system or moved live to a new system that actually combines, like right now, we are able to have all in one place, our SLPS data and our charter school data. Previously, it was spreadsheets. It was kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge. So this has been in the works for quite some time. So we are now live, but there is still cleanup going on. So this item here, I would hope, 2021, we should start after that to kind of see that that cost mitigating.
Okay.
So overall, we're seeing an increase, in this item as well. If I go back up to our technology budget. Any questions before I leave this page?
Sue, is this, I guess we're waiting on the next page for Berman, right?
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for Lewis. That's right. It is actually on here as well.
Okay,
So
because we
that's
wanted
that-
to upgrade that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that reminder. So that's what the second item is. We're going to take a look. I know this came up for discussion with the actuary. They use a different service that they say is a bit more robust. Maybe it catches 95% of the deaths as opposed to 90% that we have right now. So this right now, we're paying $2,000 with Berwyn. But if we were to, we could look at Berwyn services or we could look at another company's services, but we would probably need to spend about $6,000 as well.
Now, Sue, you said when you were with St. Louis County, you all used a company, I think it was an acronym that started with a U or something.
Well, PBI is the
PBI.
firm
Okay.
that I'm used to using,
Okay.
and the actuary used it as well. The other item that I use, and we're using it now here too, is directly to Social Security. And, there is no cost to that. You know, we just had our technology manager created a file, and we upload that monthly to Social Security, actually twice a month to Social Security. And it's just an extra check along with Berwyn. We're still doing Berwyn, but this is just an extra check. The first time we did it, we did have some hits from older years. So again, it's just another way to look at, you know, trying to capture that data. I don't think there's necessarily a perfect solution out there, but the more tools that we have, then I think the better we'll be at finding those folks who are deceased and have not been reported.
Well, are you saying that you would prefer to go with the system that you are familiar with over Berwyn, or are you saying that you want to do a dual service?
Well, I think we want to look at what Berwyn can offer if they have a more robust service. Not sure if they do or not, versus this other company, PBI, who we know the actuary has indicated that they do have a more robust service.
Because I'm not pleased with Berwyn, and you know, we have that astronomical fee that, you know, we're getting money back, but it's going to take forever. And so I prefer if the board's in agreement that we go with the service that has a 95 or plus rate of recovering over what we've had. But that would be something you can take a look at, Sue, and you pick what's best, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I will, we're going to talk with Berwyn, compare the two, and yeah, we'll definitely come back to the board and let
Right.
you all know what we discover, what we want to do.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so anything else on this page before I go back up? All right. So then I just want to hit the technology budget so you can see that overall that is increasing, you know, again, primarily because of the server, but also some of that other improvement in security, disaster recovery that's incorporated in there as well.
So when we talked about this, we talked about cybersecurity and what have you. Was that in this piece or was that with insurance?
Yeah, that's coming up in insurance.
Okay,
So
good.
we're almost there.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to ask the board about in this property budget, since I think we're going to be just a little under, might have some money, be able to do it this year. Currently on our front door, the main entrance, we don't have visitors now, but we hope to at some point, a lot of outside visitors at any rate. There is no handicapped assist button on that front door. It's a large glass door. So I think it's a little, you know, can be a little difficult if you have a wheelchair certainly or a walker. So we've gotten some quotes and it looks like it would be right about $4,000 to do that for that door. And, you know,
handicap accessibility is extremely important, and you know, it is the St. Public School retirement system, so I think we should make sure we are ADA compliant. So whatever it is to get that done, I'm all for it. I was on the Civil Rights Commission, and that was one of the things that we pushed to be handicap accessible in all of our buildings throughout the city. So that'd be great. I'm all for that.
Well, not only that, for handicap accessibility with COVID, I don't know, Sue, if you can get ones that just wave, because what some companies are doing now, some of the boards, is we're getting those in our doors, and we're, instead of you having to touch it, it's you wave your hand over it so you don't have to touch it, and therefore it opens so that you're not transferring anything, you know, onto having to open it. You could just wave over it. So maybe if you can look at that and see if they have that option.
Mm-hmm, sure.
It's still, you know, it's just a sensor they would add to the button.
Right.
Yeah.
I say that's simple, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a
would
great
be,
idea.
Yeah, that would be great for the Social Security Administration as well as for us, so that, you know, Just trying to get more of those type of sensor buttons where doors are opened and we don't have to touch them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting to try to, look at some of these bids and quotes because
Right.
it is a little bit more, you would think it's just a door, but it's the wiring for the
No,
door.
that's
So
right. That's
it's
right.
a little bit more complicated than what we thought going in. But
That's right.
yeah, we will certainly look at, I don't think it includes that right now. I think it's just a push button, but we will certainly take a look and see if that's an option.
Right. And has the staff or somebody done an assessment on the, again, you said cameras, but the lighting in between the garage and our building?
Yeah, the lighting, well, the garage, yeah, I think, Louis, you might have brought that up too.
Right.
We would need to look at that. The backlighting is very bright.
Right.
But we'll take a look at that as well.
And
see.
there's one other issue that I know Tech Electronics handles, but you're supposed to provide signage to the effect that cameras are in operation in that vicinity. That's a legal issue. I think you have to let folks know that they are being monitored. So
Okay.
make sure Tech Electronics has this proper signage, because there have been instances where somebody is caught and then they get a good lawyer and they say, well, I didn't know that they had cameras, and they can get off. So make sure that the signage is available on site, and then the better lighting, I think, would really help as well.
Okay. All right, very good. We're going to go through those issues. Okay. All right, so we'll go back down. And okay, so here we are into the business insurance. So at the time that I put this together, I really didn't have a lot of information on the cyber policy that we talked about, but I actually do have that quote right now. So that was sent out with the regular package, but what I want to do is share that with you. So let me get to that one. Okay, so this is the package on the regular insurance that's up for renewal right now. We have insurance through Hartford, and actually Hartford does both the property and workers' comp. I apologize, that should say Hartford there as well. So the property insurance is increasing just a little bit and that's based upon, where we are now. And then this is our limits going forward, because those increase. The
Okay.
workers' comp is going down a little bit. And that is based upon, they did an audit of the payroll. And so the payroll went down a little bit. This was a few months ago. So again, they adjusted the fees. So overall, it's 0.6% of the cost for this, those two pieces together. And then the broker we pay to Gallagher, we pay $15,000, and that includes their work on the fiduciary, the crime, the bond, we have several things, and then all these as well. So there is another issue with the fiduciary. That is not up for renewal until May. But this year, and Travelers does have the fiduciary coverage. So what they are saying is they want to see 2 years worth of financial data this year. They're apparently, looking at our funding levels, and they want to be able to evaluate 19 and 20. So last year they did the renewal based upon 2018 financial data. So this year, before they do the renewal, they want to have a look at both 19 and 20. So what they're proposing, so that's going to hit in May. We won't have the financial report until, really it's not going to be enough time. We might have a preliminary in May, but we're not going to have enough time. So what they're proposing is they're going to just extend the policy for 60 days and then give us time to get those financials done. And then they could give us a renewal, and Gallagher could also do a quote if need be. So the cost for that is going to be about $10,000. Basically, we pay right now $63,000 a year for that fiduciary coverage. So they're just going to extend it for the 10,000. I think it's 10,646. And that's just based upon current premium, current coverage. That would get us into July. And then at that point, give us time to figure out what's going on with the fiduciary policy. Because Travelers is not going to give us a renewal until they have 2 years of financial data. And Gallagher does not believe that, they're going to get us anything until we have the 2 years. So we couldn't even go to another company necessarily until we have that 2 years of financial data.
So, board member or trustees, can you help recall my memory? I don't have my notes in front of me. Am I on the right board? I know that we went, and maybe Andrew told us that we couldn't get a certain,
Right.
was it DNO or
It's,
something?
Right.
Isn't
Oh,
out there.
okay. I am on the right board.
Right.
And he said we were going to have to wait.
Exactly.
Where are we with that? Sue, did he leave any notes on that?
Yeah, no, I've talked with Gallagher about that. So they will do that at the same time when they're doing this fiduciary. They hadn't gotten anything, but they're going to see in early next year whether the market will have changed to allow that policy.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I have to get my board straight. And I was like, was this the one that we had to wait on or not? So thanks for that collective memory there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that is something that we'll need to decide here pretty soon about extending the policy for fiduciary. I want you guys, what your thoughts are on that.
Is it something we need to do now, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, we should, decide, recommendation, for the full board, if that's what we want to do. So then we can kind of give Gallagher their orders, what they can do and what they can work with.
So Darnetta, you want to get ready to make that motion to get that done?
Well, I don't know. Is this considered the full board?
No, I
it
mean
comes out
for
of
the
committee.
meeting. For the
We
meeting
can
on.
we can get a resolution or a motion together for that.
Okay.
But we could also, talk about it here. If people here on this particular group, this committee, do you
Right.
support that? I mean, I don't think we need a motion from our committee.
Well,
Okay.
But we could.
well, we do. So what happens
Yeah.
is at the end of this meeting, after we come back from closed session, then we make a recommendation coming from committee that would
the
approve the
board,
budget
yeah.
as presented. Then we take a vote here, and then at the full board, we basically bring up the budget. And then since it's
Right.
coming to committee, it doesn't need a second, then we would vote on the budget.
Right. So
at the full
what I
board.
was saying, do we need to discuss from our perspective is on the one thing. I understand about the full board looking at the full budget and that we would make a recommendation there, but just this one piece, is this something?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We needed
Right.
to shore that
Are
up.
we on one accord with this?
Yeah, I'm for getting an approval now so that
Me
we
too.
don't have to
Right.
come back and have a special meeting and prior
too.
to
Right.
Right.
expiration.
Right. So does somebody want to make a motion on this?
Well, maybe we could look at the other
Mhm.
items, and then maybe they could go as a group, for this
Okay.
business insurance, maybe, because
Okay.
it's a little
Okay.
bit different.
All right,
Um,
Sue.
Yeah, the workers' comp and the property, I think that's another one that we have to decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the renewal, is pretty much the same. And I don't know if that's something that has always been brought to the board or not, but I just got that this week. So since we were having this meeting, I wanted to share it with you guys, but obviously we have to have property. We have to have
Right.
workers' comp
Yeah, I
insurance,
think
so,
it's something that has been brought to, you know, before. So it's appropriate to discuss.
Yeah.
okay. And then the last item is the cyber policy. And so that's where we can get protection against a breach, against, you know, the ransomware attacks, those types of things that you're seeing more and more in the news lately. And so Gallagher did get a quote from a company called Beasley, and they are apparently experts in this area. So not only would we get monetary, we can have up to $1 million, but they would also assist us. So they
Okay.
would assist with negotiations or assist us with, you know, data. They would work with our technology vendor. So they would be involved, very heavily involved, and they are experts in this area.
So is it really, are we in the habit of just taking one vendor and looking at, or are we in the habit of looking at something from a competitive perspective?
Well, I
'Cause,
think,
go
yeah,
on.
I was just going to say, I think what they found was this vendor is kind of the vendor.
For
They
that
did,
particular.
yeah, for that
Okay.
particular service.
Mhm.
So they didn't, you know, it's one that they work with pretty exclusively. And, you know, the annual premium is about $3,500, $3,470. There is
Okay.
a $5,000 deductible, but that's, you know, there were a couple of different options that they recommended. There's a $2 million option, but that's, you know, just a little bit more, or we could do a $10,000 deductible and it gives it, you know, makes it a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
But this $1 million with a $5,000 deductible, $3,500. I was expecting that type of policy to be more.
More expensive.
So was I, because on other
Mhm.
boards that I'm on, the cost is much greater now. The premium, I mean, you know, what the coverage is maybe a lot more, but
Okay.
I'm not able to speak to that.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with it and you think $1 million would recoup what we needed if something happened,
So
then
be it.
yeah.
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 So Gallagher did, you know, say that most of their clients, that's what they write is $1 million. You know, that's adequate to cover it.
Okay.
And obviously, we have no coverage now.
Right. And so
exactly.
that's what I'm saying. And that was why in our earlier discussions, I wanted to make sure that we have cyber coverage, because it's too late, as I stated earlier on another point, it's too late when something happens to say, I wish we had. And I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this, you
Okay.
would just call this firm and they would step in and they would take care of it from that point going forward.
Okay. Thank you for doing that, because that was new.
Yeah.
To you.
Gallagher
Okay.
and I
Okay.
kind of worked on that. Okay. So that's that. So we'll have to come back and address that. But I'm going to go back to the regular document. I think we were just about done with
Right.
that regular part of it. And I gotta find it.
There she is. I see you, Chris.
Oh, yeah. See my new hairdo?
Right. I like it.
I was
You and
noticing
Bobby,
that. It is.
you and Bobby got all dialed up on us.
No, I just ended up cutting 8 inches.
Okay.
Wow.
You cut it, or you have somebody cut it?
No, I had somebody cut it.
Oh, I was going to say, okay.
Be careful.
Okay, so that was the business insurance. So this one was budgeted a little bit higher because again, we don't know what'll happen with the fiduciary plus adding the cyber. So that's that one.
Okay.
The trustee expenses, I did just look at, because there's been nothing this year, probably nothing going to happen at least the first 6 months. It may be all 2021. Everything's going to be virtual again. So I thought, well, we've got some of these other expenses. Maybe this, we wouldn't have it anyway. I would just, looked at reducing that one by just
Okay.
down to 30.
So
Yeah.
I just want to share with the group that one of the things was that we had, I think Sue had recommended taking it down even more, but we discussed the fact that next year we probably should have a retreat of some sort.
Right.
And so we upped it another little. So
Right.
that's it. I just want to share that.
And that's a really good idea, that if we can't travel, then we try to do our own educational seminar like we have done in the past. And it's been quite a while since we did the last one. But I do have to say that, Sue, this detail that you're presenting for this committee today is in great depth, and it's very helpful for everybody on the call to understand how our budget is created and what the details are. Because we have not gone through this great detail in
Nope.
the past. So
This
this is really
fantastic.
educational and helpful. The hard copies were a big plus because, flipping through screens, not everybody can get the full
For sure.
aspect of it. So I do appreciate all the work that the committee and you have done on this.
Yeah, because we did work on it a few times, and Sue has been wonderful in
Yes.
responding and presenting what we needed to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that we all win when the majority of us understand how this process works and what goes into making our budget and how, we can respond to retirees when they ask us for certain questions. And we may not know the numbers off the top of our head, but we can definitely go back to the information to be able to provide them with, factual statements of, how our fund works and what we spend expenses on. So I appreciate it.
I'd like to also commend you, Chairman Cross, because I know I've been on committees before on this board, and the committees weren't very functional. And with the process that you've put in place, I think has been really good. And I see these committees working well and also working together.
Well, thank you. And it's all because of the cooperation from all of the board members. And that is key to everything that we get done. And you all have made it so easy to make this transition to a more cooperative board. And that's what I'm happy about. And then, of course, we've been blessed with Sue.
Yes.
That's just, it's a godsend. So I'm just happy that it's all working out.
Mm-hmm.
See, Sue, you didn't even know you were a godsend to us.
See?
Well, thank you. And it's my pleasure to do what I can. So, all right. So I think we're just about, we kind of touched on this one. Here's the dollars. Yeah. So $80 a month for the medical insurance, $595 per member for the dental, and then $261, which really covers the full cost of the vision. So this is, again, based upon our current enrollment in November 2020.
And that's per member per month.
Correct. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's the big chunk that's in here is what is going to the members for their coverage.
Okay.
And I think that that's a really important number for all trustees to know, because again, we're always asked at the meetings to give a COLA or to pay more than $80. And we really are paying almost $90 per retiree and per month. And I think that while an individual case may need more, on a collective basis for all retirees, they don't realize what that dollar amount means by giving $1 extra to everybody every single month from now until infinity. So, so I think that that's a really good number for people to understand that, approximately 2.5 or $2.48 million comes gets benefited back to retirees. So that's a really good number, because we've heard about, I need more than $80 a month. But that is a benefit that retirees get that was never promised to them. It was negotiated a while back. And while we can't change it or increase it without moving the heavens, that this is something that we always should know, when asked, what are you doing for me? It's like you're getting $90 a month that while it doesn't touch inflation, it's still a benefit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and many retirees do not get any contribution
Right.
to their
No.
Right.
No, they sure don't.
This is a pretty amazing benefit for folks.
Right.
All right, and then just the last couple of items to touch on is just miscellaneous. Again, that's just building in case we need unforeseen building. There are the bank account fees are in there. Those are pretty much set. We do I don't think we've really used it this year, but we pay for parking for folks in the garage across the street. So we'll keep that in there in case, we have visitors, hopefully sometime next year. And there's 3 memberships that I wanted to request the board look at. NCTR, of course, that's the National Council on Teacher Retirement. That's the big ticket item. That's, I think, about $2,100 a year. For that, they do a lot of educational sessions that trustees are able to attend. Myself would be able to attend, so it's a good organization. ISCEBS, I'm a certified employee benefit specialist, and so this is the international society. Again, there's educational sessions that I can do virtually and a lot of resources that I can get, and that membership is about $350 a year. And then PRISM is our IT membership. Again, a lot of resources, and that's about $500 a year. So that's included in this miscellaneous budget here.
So Sue, this is just to let you all know, one of the questions that we asked of Sue was there professional organizations that offered training for her? And so she did bring us this. It would be nice someplace to be able to get a list of all of the dues that we're paying for the organizations that we are members of.
Right.
So at a later, you don't have to do it now, but at some point, I think that would be valuable.
So Sue, for trustees, we get pension and investments online. Does that fall under trustee education, the subscriptions for trustees?
I haven't seen a bill for that yet, so I don't know if maybe that's paid at the beginning of the year.
I don't know. I know I still get mine.
Yeah, I
hard
get mine
copy.
as
So do
well.
I.
So I don't know where that is. And then I'm assuming that NASP fees are covered in trustee travel education,
Yes.
because there
Yeah.
was usually, but one of the things I had a question for you is on this my eyes are really close. This benefit one, are we proposing that again, my biggest thing, if you recall during the interview process, was cross-training. Do we allow, who is it that works in our staff that does the benefits? Is it
Well,
internally?
we have Dawn that does
Dawn.
insurance.
I
Yeah,
keep
Dawn.
saying Brenda. I don't know why I keep saying Brenda, but
Yeah.
Dawn, is she gonna be part of this to have access to training as well? And is there any type of certification or something that we could do for professional development for Dawn to get, to just, so that if we need to, add a little bit more here for something like that for benefits?
Yeah, for sure. So there's like a sister organization to the ISCEBS. This is for folks, like I'm a certified employee benefit specialist, so that's specific. But there is a sister organization called the International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans, and they do dual programs. You don't have to be CEBS to get that. So that would probably be an additional $300 if we were to add membership to, for someone else, that would be about an additional $300 for that. And that would be, they have all kinds of resources. Some of their programs cost, some of their stuff is, they've been doing a lot virtually at no cost.
So
And we add
does
that
Dawn
in?
have any certifications?
I am not aware. I know she's got a lot of background and experience in insurance, but I don't think she has any official certifications.
Right.
So yes, let's add that in, please.
I agree.
I do too.
I
And
think
I also
the
think,
best way to motivate an employee is to offer them professional development and training and certification to be able to enhance themselves and their learning.
exactly.
Okay. So are you wanting to add like an additional, whatever the cost of that is? Like, I mean, we could
Yes.
put
So
five.
you probably need to do a plus because
Yeah.
there's some things that we don't know as
Right,
far, yeah.
Right. You know, it's 300, but there are also some costs incurred for specific programs. So you can just, like Darnetta said, I guess, add a plus to it, or how you ever you do that so it can be expansive.
Sure. Okay.
And I guess on that note, we need to get Dawn into something so she can be certified. Is that possible, Sue?
Yeah, I could talk with her about it to make sure she doesn't have any certifications, but there are, different certifications through the International Foundation. You can be just an employee benefit specialist. There's a retirement specialist. So, I mean, we could do, like say, for a member services staff, we could focus more on retirement for them
Okay.
as well. So yeah, there's a couple of different ways that
Great.
we could go.
Great.
So yeah, so you would sort of assess it and then talk with her about it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
okay,
I would leave that up to your judgment
right,
Exactly.
and planning to be able to see what
Right.
your needs are for her role
Right.
and what her goals are and be able to match that up. And so I defer to you. Just put a plus number of whatever in there to be able to accommodate that going forward.
Okay. And we might be able to address that in that other, there is some training built in to this other item that we'll talk about here in just a second. But
Okay.
so the last item here are special projects for 2021. Guys haven't been in the boardroom, I guess, for a long time, but someday we will go back to the boardroom. And if we are still going to be having maybe some people doing virtual or doing YouTube, the sound system, I think, is the original from the building, the projector.
Right.
It needs to be revamped in order to accommodate some of this new technology.
So now with this,
could I interrupt and let you know, Chairman, that we had discussed the fact when we set this up that I had a
Right.
meeting that started at 5:30 actually.
Right.
And so I'm gonna really need to go. Could you
Okay.
take this on?
Sure.
And I'll go on and come out of the meeting, but remembering that we need to take a vote at the end before we leave the meeting.
Okay.
Come
Certainly
out
will.
of a session. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
All
All right,
Thank you,
Darnetta.
Thanks, Darnetta.
Mhm.
So Sue, on these, I'm sorry, can you reiterate what you were saying?
Sure. So the boardroom projector, we've done some preliminary estimates, and to kind of revamp get a new projector, new sound system so that we can potentially do Zoom, potentially do, live through YouTube streaming. All of that would cost about $9,000 to revamp that. So that's one of the projects. And then we also had the parking lot. We've talked about the parking lot before. They are finally finishing this alley project that's been going on forever. But the parking lot is going to need to be striped and paved. There was some damage, I think, that the crews inflicted on the parking lot when they were here. So we'll try to get them to take care of it. But, worst case scenario, we would need to pay for that. So again, we've gotten some bids on those. I think Andrew got those bids. So looking at around $7,000.
So
Okay.
Sue, can I ask you something there? Because we've never done this, we've never discussed this, but I really want to include a racial equity lens when we do our vendors. So I know you said Andrew may have gotten bids, but I want to know if any of those bids were to minority firms.
I'm not aware if they are or not. We go through the property manager. I mean, that's something we can specify
Good.
them. but-
Absolutely. I think one of the things is we really need to look at is allowing, small women and minority business owners to be able to bid on projects like this instead of deferring it out. Since, we do live in the city, I mean, our buildings in the city, and these are St. Louis Public School city teachers, retirees, that we need to really look at a racial equity lens on a lot of the vendors that we do. And sometimes there may not be vendors like in insurance, but when it comes to something as small as this is a striping and construction company, I believe that we could find a lot of opportunities there to be able to provide opportunities on the racial equity lens.
Yeah, certainly we
That's
can
excellent.
specify that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we had focused so much on the investment side and making sure that there was racial equity in that process that we had forgotten about the vendor side. And that's an excellent point, Chris. And so we'll include that, Sue, and just make sure that's addressed.
Yeah, and when we do our other RFPs, we could add points in there for
Exactly.
minority women business as well. So that
Exactly.
could be a part of the criteria.
Sounds good.
So I think that's the regular part of the budget. There's just a little last piece here for the, just kind of looking at where we are with the fees right now. But
Okay.
Darnetta's coming back.
Okay. That was quick.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know at this point if we want to potentially move in closed session or if we have any other discussion items.
I think they talked about the salaries, personnel matters that we have to do in closed session. So we needed to do that so that we have that ready for the meeting.
Yeah, if we're ready for that, I've
Okay.
a motion up.
Okay.
Number one. If somebody wants to make that motion.
Okay. Donna, are you there? Is Donna there? She's gone as well. Do we have enough to continue?
Yeah, Donna's there. She's just on mute.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't see the motion I only see the money
Yeah, I
managers.
don't see the motion.
Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so sorry.
Okay. Someone choose to read the motion when it comes up.
Sorry, there we go.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Chris.
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting and move into executive session to discuss personnel records pursuant to Missouri Statute 610.021, Section 13.
I second Richardson.
Okay, very good.
We have to do a roll call.
Yeah, so Christina,
Yes.
did Darnetta join us again?
No, the last thing I saw, she left.
Okay, she asked to come back in. All right, so
Okay.
Lewis Cross
Yes.
and Donna Jones,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
and then Albert Sanders.
Yes.
All right, so that's 5. So I need to stop the live stream. So give me a moment.
Brother.
Okay, so we've got guess we need to make a couple of motions. So,
On the operating budget,
to accept number 3, or we did, I don't know if we made enough modifications.
Yes,
Uh,
we did make modifications.
mhm.
Okay. So I guess that would be number 3 then, would be the motion.
Okay. Al, you want to read that motion?
No, I make, I make a motion to accept that's the one, number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 3,
I
yeah.
know. I make a motion to accept the 2021 budget, operating budget as presented by the executive director with modifications made during executive session.
Richardson, second.
Okay.
And roll call then, Christina Bennett,
Yes,
Lewis Cross,
Yes.
Donna Jones,
Break. Didn't hear you, Donna. I heard it briefly.
yeah,
Donna, are you on mute?
looks like we might have lost Donna. Okay,
There's something going on. I hear her trying to say something.
all right, so Bobby,
Yes.
No, yes.
okay, we got Donna.
Okay. And Bobby, you
Yeah.
said yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Albert Sanders.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then we did have, I didn't have a motion for it, but we did have the, let's stop this one. We also did have the business insurance ones that we had to do.
Yes. That's an adjustment, right?
Yeah, so we've got to deal with
Okay.
those.
Do we just
So-
make a motion to
Yeah.
accept the changes on the business insurance motion? Or how
I'd
do
like
we
to
do
make
that?
a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the changes to the business insurance renewals and approve the proposed cyber policy as presented.
A second?
Okay. So Christina Bennett,
Yes,
Lewis Cross,
Yes.
Donna Jones,
Yes.
Bobby Richardson,
Yes.
and Albert Sanders.
Yes.
All right, so that 5, yes, that motion carried, and then that will be presented, all these motions, presented at the regular board meeting on the 4th
Okay.
then.
And was that Berwin and that other stuff included in that last motion?
That was in the regular operating budget.
Okay, good. So we're covered with everything?
Mm-hmm. We
Great.
are.
Okay, and we want to have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting, the operation budget meeting today.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and so is there anything else?
nope, just a reminder that we have a meeting next week for the investment committee.
That's next Thursday.
That's Thursday.
Correct.
Mhm.
And I think they're gonna send, Sue, you're gonna send out a text reminder to all the board members that day to remind them, is that what we're doing?
Well, yes, I can do that. Yeah, I
Is it-
have that, where it's on the calendar. For
Right.
people have been doing those appointments, but if anybody, wants a text reminder, I know Louis, you asked for that.
Yes,
So I've been doing that, but if anybody else wants me to, I'm happy to do that.
okay, great.
I like
Great.
the calendar setups. That's good. That's great.
Okay. All right, then, it's been moved and probably second
Yep.
that we adjourn the meeting, so everybody, I'll see you on what, Thursday,
Next
the
Thursday.
next Thursday.
Not Monday, the 14th is for the regular meeting.
Monday's the 14th, regular meeting, and then Thursday, the
17th.
17th is
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you all then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everybody.
All right, thank you all so
Bye-bye.
much.
All
Bye-bye.
right.